essentially our new 1.3 megapixel wireless HD cube camera, right? As you can see here on this this spec sheet. Spec sheets are obviously wonderful. You can jump on our website and take a look at this if you guys wanted to. But I'll kind of give you a more in-depth feel for this camera, because there's a lot of stuff that's actually not on the spec sheet that this camera can do. It's a rather unique camera from the standpoint of it really has a tremendous amount of features built into it. Obviously just kind of looking at some of the specs and whatnot, that's always just kind of engineering overkill for the most part. But the great thing is quite honestly, is going to be the frame rate that we get out of these cameras. I've actually got this guy fired up here. I'm going to jump out and we're going to take a look at this guy. I've got one sitting here in my office. This is the camera here. If I turn this thing around and here, I'll back up the wave to you guys. You guys see me okay?
No, not yet.
Yep, see you fine. All right. Well, here's a couple of things that you guys don't realize about this camera is it has a couple of gadgets built into it that are pretty darn neat. For one, it comes with this little guy. Here, I'll bring this over here and show it to you. See if I can get it close so that you can take a look at it. They do come with remote controls, believe it or not. And this remote control actually activates the built-in PIR that's on this camera. It's a pretty neat little camera from that standpoint, because it does have essentially a little alarm built into it. But probably more importantly than that is actually the two-way audio functionality. The two-way audio allows you to essentially plug this thing into our DVR or whatever one you're using, and be able to communicate back and forth between the two. They even went so far as to include this little guy, which of course I'm sure you guys all know what this is, right? This is your typical Windows sensor, right? Anytime you move this guy out, it puts it into alarm mode, and it's even got a little range extender antenna on the thing, believe it or not. It's definitely a neat little camera. Lots and lots of fun to kind of play with it. Just because of all of the feature sets that it has built into it. In fact, I'm going to do this, guys. I'm going to actually take in and show you some of the add-ons to it within the web settings here. So let's jump into this guy real quick, and I'm going to show you some other neat stuff about it. I mean, it really is kind of a full-blown, all-in-one. I don't need for the live view there. I'm just going to jump over into the configuration here. But they've got some neat stuff in here from the standpoint of being able to do various storage on it. Not only does it have a little SD card built into the side of it, but you can also come in here and assign it to various hard drives if you want to, or even network-attached storage devices. Some other neat things about it as well. I'll kind of jump around and show you guys a few things on this thing. Full-blown tamper-proofing, full-blown video loss, full-blown exception-based reporting, where you can jump in here and basically tell it, hey, when the hard drive's full, I want an audible warning, or, notify surveillance center, or send an email. It really is a neat little camera just because it does so many different things. Of course, the big kicker to this is, what can you do with it as far as putting it on an existing network? And this is really kind of the neat part, too, is you have the ability to run it under wireless. And it does full support, both DHCP and, of course, just plug it in and do a static IP address as well. So lots and lots of neat little things that you can do with this camera. In addition to it being passive infrared, this guy will actually, kick on that little motion sensor. It also has the ability when it goes into day-night mode where you can kick this thing on and use the infrareds. And just kind of playing around with it here in the office, the infrareds are actually pretty darn decent. They're not bad at all. But really the kicker to it, of course, is going to be what we get when we go to plug this guy in, right? When we go into the live view on it, really the frame rate is kind of the kicker. I don't know what it looks like on the GoToMeeting, guys, but how does it look? Does that look fairly quick to you guys? Is that fairly fast through GoToMeeting? It does? Oh, good. Good. Now, through our utility, this is kind of a neat thing that's just another add-on. I don't know if you guys have ever played around with any of the VSX setup utility, but I'll give you kind of a brief rundown on how this guy works. I'll back all the way out of it here. So if I wanted to jump into it, I'm just going to fire up the VSX utility here. Of course, it's going to tell me to run it as an administrator, which I do. Do a quick little detect online devices, and of course, here's all of my VSX cameras that are listed, here on my network. But this is the one that, of course, I'm playing with in my office here. Just by clicking on this guy, you can actually come in, reset all of your IP addresses, the stuff I'm sure you guys have all seen and whatnot. But needless to say, once you connect up to this camera, let's do that, double-click that guy and actually connect to it. You can actually jump out and set all of the various parameters. Now, of course, this camera does support dual streaming as well, so that you can send, your full-blown 1.3 megapixel with audio right alongside your 352 by 288 or whatever you want to set it to, maybe even a smaller QSIF image. But really the kicker to this, guys, is this thing fits in so many different applications because you can run it hardwired, you can run it on PoE, you can run it on 12 volts, you can run this thing entirely wireless or on a static IP address. It has full support for two-way audio with a built-in microphone and a speaker. Just lots and lots of really, really kind of, just rock-steady dead features on it. In fact, here, I'll show you guys something else here. This is actually what this guy really looks like, once you get the thing mounted up. They're really nice-looking cameras. They're not too bad at all. But, that's kind of a quick little intro into the camera anyway there, guys. What do you guys think? Any questions on it so far? Think this would be a hot seller for us, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the camera. I've got a quick question for you. This is Mitchell. So you can actually plug this in. Let's say I've got a restaurant that wants to put a camera in their office, and they want to just save this video directed to their back office PC. Is that possible?
Yeah, I believe you can, actually.
Okay.
I believe that you can. Essentially, network attached storage. Well, I take that back. You're not going to be able to, let's see, it won't do like a direct connection, like an old school type BNC, direct into a recorder type of deal. It would have to be over a network, of course. That's one thing it doesn't have.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any type of SPA monitor output on it.
No, that's fine. I just want to be able to, I've got a customer that wants to be able to put one camera in their office, pointing at their POS. They want it recording locally to, just have it saving the video to their back-end office computer, and then whenever they do their nightly download to the corporate office, that would go along with that data. So
yeah, in fact, you know what? Let's go take a look. Let's jump into the web settings and see what options we have there.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll come into configuration. Let's see, storage management. Typical hard drive, whichever network it's connected to, of course. Let's see, record schedule, network attached storage. So yeah, I'm guessing this is essentially what you're talking about, right? Running it on a separate server with a separate file path and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they're both be plugged into the network, and then there's some sort of communication between those two, and it just lets us. I guess right here's where we say, "This is where I want you to store this video."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, I was kind of playing around with that a little bit yesterday. And one thing I did just notice here, having not played around with the network attached storage and piece on it, it doesn't give you a browse button, which, so obviously you need to know your path, just copy and paste it into it. Let's see. If we come into event, security, image, storage, let's see, record schedule. I was looking to see if maybe it was in here. Of course, FTP, Wi-Fi, full-blown snapshots, all of that wonderful stuff. Okay, yeah, it's all going to be under the other one then, obviously. It's just going to be under storage, under that network attached storage. I didn't know if maybe there was another parameter that we'd have to plug in there. It looks like everything is going to be right here with your server address and your file path.
Okay.
Well, this is oh yeah, not a problem, bud. It's a relatively new camera for us, and the thing that really just kind of blew us away was the frame rate that we were getting out of this thing. I mean, being a true 30 frames a second, the thing's just absolutely mind-boggling as far as how fast it is. Really, really cool camera. I played around with it a little bit on our Wi-Fi connection as well. It seemed to be really quick through there, and that was really kind of a nice little feature. I actually kind of played around with it at about 30 frames a second. Only had maybe a second or two worth of latency at 30 frames a second, but down around 10 or 15 frames a second. Obviously, that improved significantly. But again, we're sending 1.3 megapixel through a Wi-Fi connection, so we're somewhat limited on that standpoint. But definitely a neat little camera. No question. But here, let me show you this too. Obviously, once you come through this, the utility that we have for setting up your IPs and all that wonderful stuff, if you wanted to, of course, I don't have a DVR on my laptop here, but if I did, it would say Save to Vigil, which of course you can save all these settings right into Vigil. It'll go straight into it without having to mess around with it a whole lot. Really kind of a neat camera. Here, let's see if I can, I'll do something else here, guys. I'll grab this guy and see if you can get somewhat of an outdoor shot, right? This is always kind of the kicker on these things when we start looking at them here, right? That's the view from my office into the back of another office there. mean, it looks pretty decent as far as wide dynamic goes. You know, it's not horrendous. It's not overly washed out. I mean, I could see that vehicle that drove by there a second ago, but it kind of gives you an idea, right? But that's basically it, guys. That's all I really wanted to do was just kind of give you guys a quick little intro into this camera, get a feel for it, see what you guys thought. Any other questions on it, or you guys think this is a pretty cut and dry, looks to be kind of a hot seller?
Hey, this is Don. I came in a little bit late, so I apologize if you already covered it. But how easy is the Wi-Fi setup on this?
You know, it's not bad. It's not too bad at all. In fact, here, I'll show you how we did this one yesterday. If you jump into the web settings, which of course, right, you basically just plug in the IP address, hit enter, and it's going to take you over to it. Default username and password in these, same on all the VSX cameras, admin12345. If you come into it, of course, if you want to run the live installer, you can just run their plugin that they've got here, but we don't need that for looking at the Wi-Fi here. Let's jump over to network, okay? And then you come in, you hit search, and it's going to jump out, and it's going to find all of the networks that are within your region. This one is actually, well, the access point is the one that I'm actually tied into here. It's your basic type of setup here, Doc. The same way that a lot of people would set up any type of Wi-Fi camera on, you know, any type of network, or quite honestly, really any Wi-Fi connection for that matter. All right? You put in your network key, you put in your encryption type, what it is, so on and so forth. You know, hit save, and the thing launches. Now, I will throw a caveat your way, since we are talking about this Wi-Fi. They don't come defaulted set up as DHCP. All right. So, you know, under your network settings there, where did it go? Actually, it's back here on TCP/IP, right? They're not set up as DHCP, so you will have to use the VSX Finder utility to find it. I think the default IP was 192.0.0.1, something like that. And then I was able to get into the camera, change the IP address, and then from that point, of course, you know, once you have the web settings, you can do essentially anything you want, right? You know,
So the IP utility will go out and find the device, even though it's not set up. Towards the Wi-Fi gateway. For the first time you put it on, the VSX IP utility will find this in a Wi-Fi mode.
Good question. I don't know about on Wi-Fi. I physically connected it to my network. I think you have to do a hardwire connection first to initially set your IP address. Good question, though. I don't know.
Well, I would think not, because it's not going out. It's not talking to the Wi-Fi router. The IP utility normally is not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I bet you're right. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, hardwire connection first, set it up the way that you want, and then disconnect it, you know, and then, of course, you know, jump over to your Wi-Fi, set it up that way, and then reconnect it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to have to know. So if it's installed Wi-Fi, we're just going to have to know the IP address range of the Wi-Fi gateway and just install it that way. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Great, thank you.
Okay. You bet, bud. Not a problem at all. Guys, really, that's all I had for you. I just want to give you kind of a quick little intro, let you take a look at this camera, get a feel for it. You know, it seems to be really common here recently that a lot of people are going, hey, you know, how do we do two-way audio? Do you have any cameras that have it built in? And we do, right? I'm thinking a lot of convenience store type stuff. You put these over the register. You know, you've got the nice infrared for when the lights are off at night. You've got the two-way audio functionality so that you can go back and forth. You know, of course, record two-way audio or talk back to your cashier. Pretty much whatever you want to do. I was just kind of impressed that they had crammed all of these really neat features into one camera with a pretty darn fast frame rate. You know, I was excited about that.
I do have another question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The screen that you've got up, the tab right next to the Wi-Fi, the universal plug and play. What all does that give you?
To be honest with you, I haven't played with this at all. Yeah, I know it's another type of another type of protocol that they support, but I've never had to tackle it, so I really don't know.
Well, that would be kind of interesting to see if that shows up somehow in the Wi-Fi directory. I don't know. Okay.
Good question. Yeah, I didn't change it. This was the default was enabled, right? So it definitely does come enabled. You know, I kind of jumped in here, played around with some of the stuff. You know, the remote control just absolutely blew me away. And you guys will laugh about this, but you can actually it has an alarm on it as well. If I hit, I hope you can hear this, but if I hit the arm button, Okay, it arms it, and as soon as I move, it sets off this little siren, which of course, you know, you can deactivate that thing to where it doesn't make that obnoxious sound all the time. But I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that would be kind of neat for, you know, I don't know, baby monitor type setup or something along those lines. But it's a pretty neat little camera as far as how many features they put into one little unit. What do you think there, guys? Any other questions I can answer for you on this one?
This is Don again. All of the screenshots and the utility that you're working through, is that available on your website, any place that we can look at the additional features and how everything works?
You know, we haven't done a full-blown manual on it because it is such a new camera, but we will. We definitely will. You know, I kind of alluded to these a little bit. These are some of the ones that we had taken some professional pictures with and whatnot, just to kind of give you an idea. You know, this is what it looks like from the side and whatnot. But you know, we haven't gotten any further than this, other than, you know, got them in stock, started installing a few of them here on our building, and just kind of rocking and rolling from there. But yeah, we definitely will. We're going to have a full-blown manual on it for all of the features and everything else.
So we can look at the additional features and how everything works?
Where it doesn't make that obnoxious sound all the time. But I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that would be kind of neat for, you know, I don't know, baby monitor type setup or something along those lines. But it's a pretty neat little camera as far as how many features they put into one little unit.